and welcome to today's segment of The Power of Money. I'm your host, Michelle Graves, affectionately known for the last 30 years as the money lady throughout the United States and the world, really. And today's show is just going to be me. I don't have any guests on for this entire hour, but the subject matter is critical. And therefore, I need for you to have a seat, particularly if you're a senior citizen. That's anyone today definitionally over the age of 60. Now, AARP says at 50 you get a card because they're preparing you for the shock of being a full-fledged senior. And trust me when I tell you, things are getting ready to change for you rather dramatically. And I can say this openly without any shame or embarrassment. I am a senior citizen. Yep, I've been out here long enough to actually still be alive. And at the great age of 66 years old, I am just more shocked than I thought I would be. I can't believe life went this fast. Do you feel like that? Are you having those same challenges, which is how did this happen and how did it happen so fast? So today's segment, I'm going to be covering this phenomena called aging, and this is a transitional thing. And when I say transitional, there are some things that you're going to be letting go of, whether you like it or not, as you go to prepare for an entirely new way of life and living. Things do change. And you know, it's a funny thing about humans. We don't like change. And particularly and especially as you get older, you just don't like change. You don't like what it looks like. You don't like what it feels like. But change is a part of life, and as you age, you are going to be experiencing major and in many instances radical change. So we're just going to go back and review some statistics because I'm just talking to you if it's okay with you. I'm just talking to open up your mind because many of us, and I include myself, are in a fog about where I need to be, how I need to maneuver. And as the young people say, oh, you're just so old school. So let me go back and explain what's going on and make sure you are aware and can begin to mull over what I've discussed today and to begin to look at your life in comparison to some of the things I have said. The first thing that you must know, if you haven't picked it up from television, etc., and certainly I've been talking about this off and on for the last 10 years, but now it's officially here, which is the aging of America, the largest demographic shift in this country's history, with baby boomers crossing over that 62-year-old, 65-year-old threshold called retirement. Today, statistically, there are over 10,000 baby boomers. Those are people born after World War II, when all the men came home, and you know they came home glad to be alive, wanting their lives to stabilize, jobs, homes, wives, and with wives come babies. So from World War II up until around 1964, we had this magnanimous outpouring of babies that were the product of the war and people having families, booming housing, booming manufacturing, as women left the manufacturing sector where they had given of their time and years while their men were at war. So 10,000 of these people, of which I am a part of, are officially leaving the workplace. 10,000 people a day. That's a lot of people, and this is going on for the next 20 years. So this is not something that's just going to happen. Everybody that I know within my age group is folding up their tent and calling it a day and going on to do other things. Now, what are those other things? I have no clue, but if you have not prepared, you're going to be in for a shock because, well, you've been programmed to work for 40 years. To work for somebody else, in some cases to work for yourself, but you have been programmed to live a certain life. Now all of a sudden you've got time on your hands. Now, let me say something about time on your hands. My grandparents used to say that idle time is the devil's workshop. And I do believe it, because after a couple of months of doing nothing but sleeping, because you don't have to get up, and eating when you want, and kind of doing what you want, some things are going to start occurring mentally and maybe even physically, because you may find yourself gaining weight. You may find yourself just doing nothing. And and watching television. Oh my goodness gracious, the gawk box. But here is the painful truth. Unless you are prepared to make some significant shifts, how many years are you going to lay around and do nothing? How many years are you going to run and visit the kids and grandkids and hope they want to see you? Oh yeah, because they got lives too. And they're not excited necessarily about you being retired, except for some of you, you may find yourself in the business of free babysitting. It's okay for a minute, but again, after a while, you may not want to go that road. I'm putting these things out to you so you can begin to reflect and to think about where you're headed. Because, and I say 20 years because at the age of 80, while you're still a senior, you're technically considered elderly. And there are some things that begin to happen physically that define that 80 as a benchmark. So, and we'll talk about that. I want to revisit that, because when you're 80, things start occurring in your body, financially. You begin to have to make some decisions about where you really do want to live, if you're still alive. Because a lot of people are gone before they get to 80. In fact, majority of people are gone before they get to 80. So here you are. You're out the workplace. What do you do? Well, I'm going to tell you for myself, because I am, I guess, semi-retired, although I still have things I'm doing. That's never going to stop. I do this show, which I love. I do it free. And I do it free because I believe that I'm bringing value to my viewers, that if you watch the show, and many of you have watched it for years. I've been on television since 1982. Can you believe that? But I have been. And I've been at this station, DATV, and I love these people. Oh my goodness gracious. Ben Artis, who is my producer, does a fantastic job, always professional, always on cutting edge. And Melissa Constantine, who functions at this company in an executive capacity and also helps assist. And we have other staffers as well. I would do this show 7 days a week if I could, because it's just that valuable in terms of content and information that we provide to you and to people in other parts of the country. This show airs in a total of 51 markets, and people are very faithful viewers. So I try to make it worth your time to give you information that will help you. But officially, I am a baby boomer. As of the time of this airing, I am 66 years old. I am officially receiving Social Security. Can you believe it? Yes, I am. And I'm doing other things to keep me busy, because I have chosen not to sit at home doing nothing or doing what I call little things. And again, I hear this from seniors so often, which is, well, I deserve it. I deserve this. And I'm trying to figure out, how do you figure you deserve this? Because you worked for so many years and you did this and you did that, but you were doing stuff for other people. Your job was not about you, it was about them. And if you did a good job, and I pray you did, at the end of your tenure, you moved on. Now, that's a whole nother conversation, for which I may not be able to touch on at all today, which is, what if you can't afford to retire? Because you know what? You can have the age on your behalf, but you may not have enough money saved up to allow you to retire. And I'm not talking about those who work for the mega giants in automobile and manufacturing under the old pension plans where they got a nice pension. Okay, and those of you in Detroit know what I'm talking about. But those days are gone. Companies are not doing pensions today. They're doing 401ks, which is a plan that allows you to save money for yourself. Now, just stop right there. Stop. How successful are you at saving money at 401ks? Well, I would submit to you that most people are not very successful in saving money for their retirement. The average senior has only saved up $25,000 when they want to retire. Well, I'm just going to be candid with you. You're not going to live very long with any level of quality of life on $25,000 in total savings. That does not include the value of your house, but that's another conversation. I'm talking about you've only been able to accumulate $25,000. So the reality is, and many of you may snicker and say, well, I'll just get another job. Well, it's like I was telling some of my other friends, easier said than done. Why? Because a lot of employers don't want to hire seniors. Why don't they want to hire seniors? Because of medical insurance. Oh, yeah. They still are paying out these huge premiums for their workforce. Now, the benefit, you say, but I'm on Medicare. That's if you're 65. If you retired at 60, you got a span of 5 years. And either you're going to pay for it yourself, which is expensive, or if you try to get a job and hope they'll pay for it, which is doubtful. And so here you are. I'm putting this out. I'm not trying to sound like Negative Nelly. I just want to slap you into the recognition that this is what transition and change looks like today, okay, which is you may detest your job. I want to get out. But sometimes it's better to dance with the devil you know than the devil you don't know. Okay? And so I really, really suggest the seniors that before you start making those moves of joining those 10,000 people a day that are ditching it and calling a day and ready to live the good life, recognize right up front that the good life doesn't just happen. The good life has to be planned for, has to be budgeted for, and then has to have what I call margins of error, which is something happens where you didn't get the good life. Let me give you an example. When you get 60, all of your bad habits, and you're adult, you know, the smoking the cigarettes, the eating bad food, eating fast food, eating period, junk food, candy, cookies, never exercising, and doing your own thing, the Pepsi generation. I'm doing my own thing, as the Isley Brothers sang. You know I'm old school when I start talking about the Isley Brothers, do your own thing. But no, it's your thing. I do what I want to do. You know, at 60, you experience what's known as aggregation. And that means that all those cumulative years of abuse to your body all come to fore. You begin to have health issues. If you're not already on high blood pressure medication that is due to improper eating and stress, you will be. The average person at 60 is taking 10 types of medication. If you're not diabetic, you certainly are pre-diabetic, which is a whole nother story of eating and what the old people called sugar darling. You got sugar. No, you got diabetes type 2, which is a real problem today. In fact, it's epidemic. And the medications for the treatment of diabetes are expensive unless you have insurance, and then you're paying for it, okay? So this is what happens. You're ready to retire, and all of a sudden your health is a problem. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you got health issues, keep your job. Keep your job till you're 65, okay? And then you can flip over to Medicare, which is a health insurance for seniors that are 65 and over. You paid for it, all those working years, you paid into Medicare, you paid into your health care plan for retirement. But that gap that many of you are talking about from 60 to 65, I'm leaving at 62, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. You may want to think about that carefully, or at least explore what are some alternatives for me, affordable alternatives now that would allow me to be able to plan for that inevitable day. And it is inevitable. You're going to want to do some other things. If you've been working on the same job for 40 years, you're tired. You're mentally tired. And that's why they want to put you out to pasture like old cows. But the reality is that you have to plan for you. You can't worry about your employer. And if you are considering making that move, you need to talk to your HR people, human resources, and find out what your employer will pay and will not pay. One of the biggest shocks for seniors that I have counseled, and yes, I do counsel seniors, okay? That's what I do. That's what I love to do. The biggest shock is finding out that you do not get benefits that you thought you were going to get. Many employers are letting you take responsibility for paying for your benefits when you retire. They're not automatically giving you life insurance. They may reduce your coverage to $3,000 or $5,000. That's a shock because at 60, you will find that life insurance is pretty daggone expensive. Why? Because life insurance companies are not churches. They're in the business of making profit, and they know statistically the older you get, the higher the probability of you dying. So premiums are high. $25,000 plan for a 60-year-old person, talking about $80, $85 a month. For a couple, double it. Now, if you're not budgeted for that, that comes as a sticky wicky. But the reality is that if you don't have insurance, then you're going to, upon your demise, they're going to have to pull it out of your savings, or family's going to have to pass the plate, and we don't want to talk about that. That's an earlier show. If you want to go onto YouTube and look it up, it's under Pass the Plate, under my name, Michelle Graves. And I interviewed a gentleman who was a mortician, and he talked about how horrible it was to be able to have your loved one not have any resources to be buried or cremated. I mean, it costs money to do any of that. And so, again, if you have not planned for that, you've not anticipated that, that comes as a shock. So the first thing I've said is that you want to make sure that your health insurance continues, okay, before you're age 65 if you're planning on bailing out. If it does not continue, then you may fall up under COBRA, which is a continuation, but the premiums are staggering. You may be able to work something out with your employer. I doubt it, but again, that's available. So that's the first thing, is making sure your health insurance continues and what it looks like between that 60 and 65. And if you're retiring earlier than 65, which many people are today, you better make sure, you really better make sure you have this in place, because that's a sticker shock, okay? Again, the second thing is making sure that your employee benefits that you're so accustomed to having, cafeteria plan or voluntary, that those will continue at your retirement. Most of them will not, or if they do, it'll be at a significantly reduced amount, and the tab will be on you. There'll be no employer pickups on this stuff. Why? Because remember, employers are trying to get you out of the system, not keep you in. The third thing I want to talk about is if you have money with your employer in an active 401k or any 403b or whatever you're doing with your tax qualified money, do not leave your money with your employer. I'm amazed at why people think that your employer wants to be responsible for your investment outcomes. They're not interested in you. They are interested in active working employees. So I would urge you, if you do have an active tax qualified account, that you consider doing a rollover, which is moving it from the employer to an outside trustee. There's no tax consequences. The paperwork is real crisp. Just ask. No people they're not going to volunteer to tell you what to do, but you can at least ask and you can at least make the inquiry. I do them all the time. Very powerful for you getting out from that situation and moving into something that works better for you. Remember, this is now officially all about you. It's not about anybody else. It's not about your children. And I do pray that you're listening to me about this. Listen, we love our children. We do. We love them. If you're normal, now I'm not talking about people that keep their children in dungeons, like that crazy couple in California, and other people that do terrible things, but I'm talking about the majority of us genuinely love our children. Good, bad, ugly, they're still our children. And we love our grandchildren if we're blessed to have them. They're really special. But it doesn't mean you are prepared to take care of them. And that your retirement does not need to be a nesting opportunity for your children and their families. God forbid if you are taking care of your children now, because at retirement, it doesn't get any better. I want you to develop your own life. Is that asking too much? That you have your own life and that your children be allowed to have their own lives and to blow up, make mistakes, mess up, and to learn how discipline and self-control are two things, attributes that'll carry you a long way. You don't learn it when you're young. You learn it through the school of hard knocks. And then we have seniors who want to deprive their children of experiencing the school of hard knocks. Come on now. I bet your mother was not that gracious. I bet your dad, I know your dad wasn't. You know, we women tend to be weepy. Oh, but men are like, boom, son, keep it moving. I tell you, I love men because they do what we can't do, and they're going to keep it moving, period. Whatever it is, they're going to keep it moving. But I bring that to the table because one of the things that happens at retirement is that people think, your family thinks you have money to burn. Yep. You have time to waste. Yep. And that you're willing to be a hotel on the run. And I must share with you that those are things you need to look at. You know your family, you know your children, you know what they're doing, you know what they're talking about. Okay? So that's kind of where we are in terms of those preparation steps. Look at your health. Do a health evaluation. Look at getting involved with a gym. I know about walking, but I'm talking about working that fat off. I'm talking about working it, okay? Like, work it, okay? Why? Because exercise is turning out to be, based on research and clinical trials, the common denominator for longevity and healthy longevity is exercise. It's not just eating the right foods, which are critical. I don't have to tell you about junk food. That's why they call it junk. And the fact that the body reaches a point where it can't absorb anymore, so it begins to shut down. That's called high blood pressure and lots of other not so good things. But challenge, get out here and get yourself into some kind of a gym. $10 a month. Do it now. Make a commitment to block time off every day to move your body. Before you look up and you can't. Awful. Awful, because it's self-inflicted. Nobody did this to you. You did it to yourself. So The beautiful thing about the human body is that once it determines that you're serious, it'll get serious. So if you can begin to make those adjustments, you will find that as you move into retirement, it'll be easy. You'll be vibrant, you'll be alive, you'll be fun to be around, and you won't have to fake it. And on the subject of faking it, let's just talk about this as a sidebar. Your teeth and your mouth health. As we age, things begin to happen in our mouths. And many of us, because we did not take good care of our teeth and have good dental hygiene when we're young, find ourselves now with teeth that are in desperate condition, and we may be looking at dentures. Dentures are a byproduct of lack of teeth care. Some of it may be genetic, some of it may be caused by sickness, medical injuries, etc. But I would like to encourage you now to get a dental exam. Get your x-rays now. Get into a 6-month habit. Every 6 months, my teeth will be cleaned professionally. Even if it's out of pocket for you, I will learn the power of dental floss and water picks and all of the things that keep bacteria at bay. These are simple things that you can do. It is a sorrowful story, and it's one of those things that we just don't look at until our children or somebody else says, you know what, I know a good dentist. That's a hint. Nobody wants to tell you to your face in a discourteous and offensive way that your teeth look terrible. But the reality is, if you're a cigarette smoker, I can tell you your teeth are going to be yellow. And I'm going to say to you, if you're going to continue to smoke, you're going to be at the dentist getting your teeth whitened and cleaned so that you look healthy. The mouth is a powerful venue for everything. It harbors bacteria, it digests, it breaks down food at the point of entry. So I would say to you, as a part of your planning, unless you plan on wearing dentures, and for many seniors, that's real, or you plan on having implants, that's real, costly, and in many instances, painful. Painful because they have to go into your gums. There's something you need to look at and see how much it's going to cost. If you are income restrictive, there are health clinics that will do a lot of your work at a nominal charge based upon your income. But again, no excuse, no putting it off, no procrastination. Let's just say, let's get her done. Okay, I'm from Kentucky, so let's get her done. And get it done so that you'll be able to enjoy your senior years with healthy teeth and a healthy mouth. So I'm talked about physical fitness, get it moving, talked about getting your mouth together, get it moving, and other things. And I will say your skin. If you've been an abusive person to your skin for all these years, unless you're planning on plastic surgery, which is money again, for your face, liposuction, crazy stuff, invasive surgery for your body, then I would say to you, learn the art now of attending to your skin, all of it, from your feet all the way to your face. I personally am a lover of pure shea butter. I have to say it, and you can say I'm self-promoting because I've been involved in this project for many, many years, but I dare say that if you looked at me face to face, you would not see one wrinkle on me or any part of my body. But I learned many, many, many years ago that there's only one of you, and your skin is the largest organ on your body. And if you do not take care of your skin, and it looks cracked and it has fissures, including your face, Why? The face is the first point for radiation from the sun. Okay? And for many of you, particularly my fair-skinned friends and my white friends, radiation can do irreparable damage, particularly if you're not attending to your skin properly. So again, these are things that will help you in your transition, because aging does not necessarily mean full of wrinkles. It does not. Aging just is simply you're older. And there are things that do begin to happen with any kind of aging. Your hair may begin to gray. Your skin may be drier. But again, there are answers. It depends on what you want to do. I will say this as a heads up. Many, many, many people have taken care of everybody but themselves. And maybe it's our culture, and for women, maybe it's just the way you're raised that you defer to everyone but yourself. But I'm going to swing this thing into a rewind mode and say to you, I need you to do you for a minute. And in fact, do you for a lifetime. Because you've lived the majority of your life doing for others. Now, what about you? And again, it's critical because at age 80, things really do begin to change. And if you haven't tightened up your act, I'm not prepared to say it's too late, but I am prepared to say that it's going to be a harder one-up. It really is. So we'll get to that in a minute, but I wanted to lay a foundation starting with, your issue of can you afford to retire, checking with your HR people, looking at what your options are. If you're a couple, what is my agenda? What do we, everybody wants to travel and have vacation, but nothing is more sorrowful than to not be able to vacation in a manner that you would want. And don't get me wrong here. I'm all for roughing it up, camping, doing RVs, but you know what? It's also nice to have the option and the funds availability to do cruises, to do first-class hotels, to be able to do site visits in other countries and not be pressed financially, to not consider the family reunion as your vacation. Really? Okay. And to do some things that you will like, that are pleasurable to you and to your spouse. Because again, as you age, time is no longer your friend, because you never know. And I really do mean it. In this past week, I have had more than a few of my business associates and friends. When I say friends, I use the term loosely, not intimates, but friends who have died. They've died from all kinds of things, cancer being at the top of the list. One gentleman, close to my age, expired because of failure to get prostate cancer diagnosed early. And for you men out here, particularly you older men, prostate cancer will kill you. And it doesn't play around, and it will eat you to very little. I mean, it'll decimate you to a little bit of nothing. And it's a simple exam that you take every year. And I know how you feel, but you know what? Cancer doesn't feel good either. So I just wanted to put that sidebar because, again, time's not your friend. You have to diligently order your steps and order your life in a disciplined way that says, first, I'm number one, period. When I'm gone, I'm gone. And number two, if you're married, your wife, your husband, had better be right up there with you. Because if you're gone, they suffer. It's a fact. They suffer. Now, I'm a single woman. So, again, if I expire, my children, they're going to go on living and doing whatever they do. But if you're married, you have somebody else you need to be attentive to. And so what you're doing for yourself is making it easier for them as well. the most sorrowful thing I've had to deal with over my career, which spans over 40 years, is dealing with widows. Because the truth of the matter is their husbands die first. Now, I'm not a statistician. I don't know why men die before women. The numbers, the gap is closing, but men still die early. Now, I've had some men say, yeah, because she kills us, you know, but I'm like, no, all kidding aside, I think a lot of it has to do with, you know, not taking care of yourself properly, not seeing your doctor, not getting those physical exams every year, and not intercepting, which is being dismissive of signs and symptoms of something more serious. So you wind up, by the time it's diagnosed, you're way down the path and it's too late. And that is sorrowful, and it's also inexcusable because you do have a spouse who is going to suffer from your loss, really suffer, because you've grown to depend upon each other. And many times that spouse is a female. She may have it going on when she and you were together, but your loss put her into a mental spiral. And depression many times rolls right up behind that. Am I giving you something that you never thought about? I know, because it's not something you think about, which is why you're watching this show, because I'm going to provoke you to think about it. I'm going to provoke you to do something about it, and do something about it now. Not 10 years from now if you're around, but do it now so that you can age gracefully with vitality and energy and a joie de vivre, as the French would say, joy for life, okay? Doesn't have to be gloom and doom and running down, you know, running down memory lane. Because may I be honest with all of you about memory lane? I don't do memory lane. You know why? Because as far as I'm concerned, there's not anything to be accomplished by talking about what used to be, because you can't reverse time and you cannot turn back tides. All you can do is move forward, and move forward with an understanding that I've laid a plan out that works for me and my family, okay? I'm not talking about everybody else in the neighborhood. They got their own stuff. I'm talking about you and what you have going that's going to make a change in your life, in the life of your family. Like I said, I've laid out some things and some steps. I've told you why 10,000 people a day are coming out this system, and it's going to put some pressures on everything. It just is. It's going to put some pressures on everything. And you'll see what I mean. It's going to put major pressures on healthcare systems because so many people are sick, period. And doctors don't have an answer. And in 15 minutes, they're not going to have an answer anyway, because that's all they're allowed to spend time with you, 15 minutes. What the heck are they going to tell you about you in 15 minutes? That's a sign. It's a sign that you need to take care of yourself. You need to do the research yourself. When you sit down with the doctor, you need to have factoids, information that is specific to your situation, that they can help. And if you're not into naturopathic doctors, and I've had in times past Dr. Rick Howard, who is a naturopathic doctor, the real deal. And he's talked to you openly about cancer. He's talked to you openly about healthy lifestyles, eating. He is a vegan, and he's in excellent health, looks good, wife looks good, kids look good, everybody looks good. It's a black man who does not eat pig. Woo-wee! Is that cultural? Yeah, it is. You don't have to eat pig at all. It's going to kill you. You don't even know where the pigs come from. You know why? You don't. And I can speak to this because I'm a country girl, remember? And we knew where pigs were from because you slaughtered them. But now you go to the grocery, you don't know where that pig came from. I was talking to my mother about that day. I said, where did this pig come from? North Carolina in a pig factory? Or did he come local? Or is he a happy pig? Or is he a ticked off pig? Or did the pig eat their babies? Because you know they eat everything. And you eat this thing. You eat it with stop, Stop it. Do something different. Eat to live. Don't live to eat. And just for the record, so you all don't start going on platitudes with me, I used to eat pig because I was raised like that. When you killed a hog, you ate everything on it, including making the hog hooves as cold medicine. It was a tincture. So everything on that hog went somewhere, on you or in you. And again, I haven't done that in so long. I just not going to do it. There's an excellent movie out called Food Incorporated. You can check it out on Netflix or probably any of your cable stations, Hulu. You may even be able to find it on YouTube. I don't know, but you need to watch that movie. It's transformational about what they do to animals and what they do to pigs. And if that doesn't turn you off, then you know what? I don't have anything to say. Eat the thing, okay? Because as the old wise men said hundreds of years ago, you are what you eat, okay? So I had to slip that in, and some of you are like, I just don't like that woman. Then you don't have to like me to at least consider the truth of what I'm saying. Because believe it or not, I don't even know you, but I love you because you're a part of the human race, and I'm a part of it, and we're all God's people. Whether you like it or not, He made you. And so I have a responsibility to share that with you. The days of eating animals is over. And I'm sure they're rejoicing, by the way, like, woo-woo, woo-woo. They're not going to eat us. Why do I say they're rejoicing? Because animals talk to each other all the time. And they know when one of their members is getting ready to become somebody's dinner plate specialty. And it's a frightening thing. And hopefully as a people, we evolve into something that says we're not going to do that. But for seniors, because culture and lifestyle says, I've always done it this way, and I'm still here. And I'm like, oh, you better knock on wood. You better knock on wood. You're still here. I'd like to know what your insides look like and whether your cells are putting you on countdown. Oh, yeah, the things that keep you going 24/7 without your permission or consent, your cells. And they do reach a point where they're like, you know what, I'm done. And then you begin to find yourself sick, sicker, and then cancer and everything else. It's not arbitrary. It can be dealt with. So I put Dr. Rick Howard's name out here because you can go and look him up, and you can watch some of our videos where we talked about these subjects. And to be candid with you, he reversed some of my issues in a big way. I'm not kidding you. I was heading down a road, even eating right. I had accumulated stuff. And he made a difference. So am I supportive of naturopathic doctors? Yes, I am. And before you say, well, what about your doctor? Well, if he told you the number of doctors that are his clients and why it is that doctors don't make it to age 65, that should tell you something. That really should. Nothing personal, but you can't tell me something and you're not alive yourself. I mean, you're looking crazy while you're looking at me with your stethoscope, and I'm looking at you like, you know what, Doc? Are you going to be around in 10 years? And they're like, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, all kidding aside, and note not to disparage doctors because it's an honorable profession, but there are other options, okay? And because we're about taking care of ourselves as we grow old and age gracefully with vitality and enthusiasm and joy even, I'm just giving it to you straight. As some people say, you know, she gives it to you straight, no chaser. I was like, I guess, but I'm going to give it to you straight. Now, let's talk about, if you are a senior, what you got going for you, because Our system is now recognizing that this aging thing is upon us. And therefore, there are a number of things that are available for you at discount. I'm going to give you a website to go to. If you don't know how to find it, ask your grandkids to find it for you. But the website is www.theseniorlist.com. I'm going to say it again, www.theseniorlist.com. That particular website has all of the discounts that are available for senior citizens. And there are hundreds, from grocery stores to retail stores to restaurants, including the days for the discounts, to coupons, to travel discounts, to hotel discounts, to car rental discounts, to furniture discounts, just because you are a senior, to prescription discounts. Okay? That's on that website. And to be honest with you, I had a ton of paperwork on it, and I was going to read it off, and I said, nah, I'm going to give them some homework. Pull it up and take a look at it yourself and go from there. Theseniorlist.com. And give me feedback on how it worked for you. I love it. Also, if you are in the state of Ohio, you can take advantage of the Buckeye card if you are over the age of 65. They also have a website. Type in thebuckeyecard.com, and you will see how you can get your Buckeye card. Now, at the age of 60, they sent all of you Buckeye cards. And if you didn't get it, you can call the 800 number, and they will send you a Buckeye card. So I must retract. I said age 65. It's age 60. So, again, the Buckeye card allows you, as a resident of the state of Ohio and a senior by their definition, to take advantage of many, many discounts offered in the state of Ohio by showing your Buckeye card. I don't want to overemphasize the significance and the importance of having an AARP membership. I got my card when I was 50. That's when I knew, oh my God, what is to become of me? How'd they have my name? How'd they know my address? How did they have, how? Because all of this information is public information. There are no secrets out here. If you don't want to believe me, type in your name. Type in your name and find out what everybody knows about you. I did this with my mother about a year ago, and she went into shock. She's like, how did they have my name? How do they have my address? Huh? I said, well, voting information is public. So if you vote, they have your information. Most venues have your date of birth. States have your driver's license information, which has your date of birth. So everybody knows when you were born. Everybody knows where you live for the most part. Seniors are not typically transient. They're pretty stable. They have a house and an apartment. And they know where you are. So they send these things. Now, I say to you, if you've not considered being an AARP member, and for the record, I'm not paid to do this. I'm not getting any pennies from the AARP by doing this endorsement. I am telling you, other than their fantastic magazine, which I love, you get lots of discounts with that card as well as being able to be matched for all kinds of expeditions and tours and special things that cater to people in our age group. And no disrespect, I love generational activity, but sometimes I just don't want little people around. I mean, if I'm taking an educational tour, I don't want a 4 or 5-year-old running around. I'd like to be able to talk with my peers and to share some things that I have in common with them. okay? Family events are family events, and you know what you're going to and getting into before you even do it. But I'm talking about AARP. Membership is very, very inexpensive. You can't afford $10. You kidding me? Why not? Take advantage of that. You can go on websites, you can call them, and just do it. Just do it because it needs to be done. So we talked about Buckeye, AARP, senior discounts. We've talked about how to prepare for retirement, what things you need to be aware of. Now, I'm going to conclude because my time is just about up. Can you believe we've talked about all this? Hope you're learning some things. Hope you're gathering some things. What I want to close out on is talking about your spirituality. I'm going to go there. You and him. Now, for many of you, this is your opportune moment to really get into learning what your spiritual life needs to look like and your relationship with your Creator. Because you've lived such a long life, you've seen so much, at the end of the day, you should be full of wisdom. You should be an inspiration and a hope for people coming behind you, children, grandchildren, friends, neighbors. You should stand as a beacon of light and of hope and what faith really looks like when you've lived this life. The fastest growing group of seniors are people over 100 years old. That's nothing but wisdom looking back at you. So when I talk about spirituality, this is a great time for you to truly get in touch with your Creator and begin to develop, if you haven't done it so far, an intimacy with God. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about that, because I've been to enough funerals where people have died and are elderly and have no church, have nothing, are orphans. They don't have anybody. And you're scurrying trying to figure out where they're going to be buried, so you wind up having them at the funeral home and then at some cemetery. What a way to leave earth. Having lived the entire life never coming into communication and intimacy with the Creator who loves you so very much. So my challenge to all of you is to make that move. I don't care what your denominational persuasion is. I just need you to get with it. I need you to connect. Just connect. Open up the relationship through prayer and through communication. Doesn't have to be in a fancy situation. Just talk to God. Talk to the Lord. And watch your life begin to shift in a beautiful way. Reconcile with people that you've done wrong with. That's a hard one, but you got to do it. You got to lay the axe down. Your next door neighbor is not a monster. They're your neighbor. Lay that axe down and forgive so that you can begin to enjoy freedom from prison, which is what unforgiveness is. And in closing out today's segment of The Power of Money on seniors and aging, I just want to send you all the love that I can send you and wish you an awesome, expansive day, month, year, and life. We don't know the end of a thing, but the journey is surely worthwhile. On those closing points, you take care, you be blessed, and most of all, know that you're loved. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.